Hakeem Alobo-Bakare joins us now, a political analyst. As we continue trying to set the agenda, expectations for leaders out there. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. My pleasure being here.
Well, it's indeed clear that lots of challenges that we're faced as a country, and leadership is expected to rise to this challenge. But already we do know that so much will happen this year that could either define and determine how we progress as a nation. In all of these events that are going to play out, which one just stands out that you think, look, we really need to address either this event or this activity that is built to happen much more than we've done before? Could it be elections, the conference? Which one of them?
Well, thank you very much. I think, first of all, the federal government has missed the point. The point at which they've missed is to set up the conference that was headed by Senator Okoromo. What they should actually do is to set up a conference of national ethnicity conference, whereby we will sit down and fashion out a way at which we can live together. The kind of conference that has been held now is not the one we need in Nigeria. We need an ethnicity conference whereby anybody that lives in any particular state can live and aspire to contest at any point in time.
Yeah, but in the first place, pardon me for butting, do we need a conference for that to happen?
We do need a conference. If you go to Sokoto State, for example, when you look at the plate number, you find that what is written on the plate number is born to rule. Lagos plate number has a center of excellence. That's what born to rule connotes is. It is their right to rule this country. When the ambassador was there was nothing like Boko Haram. They were there, but they were silent about it. There was a bit of scheming somewhere else. But as soon as Obasanjo was going, the need was out of the way. When Yar'Adua came up, there was Boko Haram, but not as pronounced as what we have.
So if that is their mindset, how will the conference change it?
Well, we will sit down and function out a way if we can live together.
If we can.
Live together. Because we need to sit down and talk. It's a fundamental issue that we have to sit down together. It is not the kind of way that appears on the television, appears on the conference that was held by Okoromo. You need to go to the basics.
What's wrong with the people that appear on television and appear in those conferences?
They are the elites. When you look at what is happening in villages, what is happening in villages is doing what is talking about the elites. Some of our elites doesn't go to their villages. Fear of being attacked.
We don't know the percentage of that, so
it's there. It's there. A gentleman just left, was talking about if there's a case of incident somewhere, before the arrival of the police, it took about 5 hours.
In some cases.
In some cases, not all cases. But when you have not sit down to fashion out a way of whether to live together in peace or not. Whether a Hausa man will believe that a sultana can rule.
Yeah, but that seems to be a stereotype, because if you look at the Constitution, do we need a conference to tell us to even obey that to the letter? Because some think that, look, even if you do half of what was stated there, you won't need a conference. Some states didn't need a conference to appoint non-indigenes in their cabinet. Why should we need a conference to move forward?
You refer to Lagos. Lagos is a cosmopolitan city. We have an Igbo man serving in the cabinet.
There's some other states, not just Lagos.
I can't go to Ogun State and serve in any cabinet in Ogun State. It's meant for their indigene that live in that state. But Lagos is a cosmopolitan city that it absorbs so many things. We have non-indigene in the House of Assembly. We have non-indigene in the High School of Lagos State. But that cannot be obtainable in other states.
Because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it cannot happen.
I don't want to be deceived. I don't think the woman can go to Sokoto State and aspire to be a chairman of the
government. It's not about going, it's about if you've lived there. I mean, if the Yoruba man
for so many years
has lived there, why not?
I've worked in the north before.
Does it mean
whenever there's alarm of crisis, we went to Mami Barracks, despite the fact that most of the people that work with me are the indigenous of the states. They will be first to tell you that, look, Oga, you have to leave.
You know, it goes beyond what you have just tried to highlight, because I've actually seen within a state how they also discriminate amongst themselves. You have seen how they have turned it into a turn-by-turn kind of policy in so many states. So it goes beyond what we're getting to see from state to another state. So when we talk about talking, I'm going back to what Chamberlain asked. Can't we get it right without us coming, having a conference and saying it must be based on ethnic nationalities? Is it what you mean?
Yes. We can do
How
it.
important is that for you?
Well, I think it is better for us to sit down as a nation and talk and fashion a way at which we can live together. Without doing that, we will just having a cosmetic conferences all over the places. We need to sit down and fashion out a way and manner how we can live together to tolerate one another.
Because I actually thought that would have been our strength, because there's hardly any state you don't get to see people of different nationalities.
Yes.
Lagos, for instance, those who are from Badagry can't be called Yorubas, can't they?
We're all Lagosians.
Good, we're all Lagosians, but
Yes.
when it comes to details, sometimes some Yorubas don't see them as Yorubas.
The origin of Yorubas are from Awori. And Badagry predominantly are Aworis as well.
As well.
Yes, when we talk about Lagos, people from Alimosho, part of Ojo, they are Aworis.
The origin of Yoruba is from Awori
They are not.
or from Ilefe.
Well,
It's
there is a very complex situation.
That's where we fear that when we talk about ethnic discussions, that
Yes.
is what it will amount to.
Yes.
Because people will definitely come and say, no, that's not it. So why can't we be looking at some national issues? Perhaps that is where we can start from.
Well, I think we discussed so many national issues, but we have to go to the base of what is creating this problem. Some people believe it is a birthright to rule in this country, and if you don't allow them to rule, that will be a problem. And that is what is happening now. How what is happening is just to build up to 2015.
You talked about you listened to Captain Omar. By the way, Tunji reminds us that Kaida Nibaba, who was an architect, was also a commissioner in Lagos. Eventually, he's from Ikorodu.
Yes.
He was a commissioner in Ogun State.
Yes.
So he just kind of reminds us of that one. But let me move to the point, which is when Captain Omar spoke, he said, look, 20, 30 years ago, the Birams, the Fulanis were living together.
Yes.
There wasn't, those divisions were recognized, but there was no wars, no fights among them. We didn't have a conference at the time, but they were living peacefully.
Yes. As at that time, the population was not as grown as this. The
What you
population
said about the population now?
Yeah, because as at that time, 30 years ago, we were not in the global war then. We didn't know, we live in harmony, we live peacefully, both Christian and Muslim. But along the line, things just went the way it went now, because people believe that that should change. As such, everybody want to claim rights, that it's our turn to do this, it's our turn to do that.
What about in 1993 when we had the Muslim tickets? When the population was big,
That's
and we didn't see any problem
peculiar
with that.
situation.
So that peculiarity shows that, well,
That was a total peculiar
it's
situation.
really not necessary for us to talk about ethnic agenda.
You see, what happened in 1993, I don't think that it can happen anymore. You see, Chief MKO has transcended beyond ethnicity. He is a man of national figure. He's a man that was well loved by everybody, even the Hausas. He won election even in tougher states.
But don't you think we're giving Nigerians far less credits than they deserve? Because look, it's about leadership. If a credible leader comes up, will they mind where the leader comes from without the politicians playing up those ethnic cards?
I agree with you. If you have a credible, acceptable leaders, the election is free and fair, and Nigeria were allowed to pick their leaders without any region, I'm sure Nigeria will be at peace. Where you don't have credible elections, there are about to be schemings all over the places.
So not necessarily about this conference.
Well, the conference will still come to play, because I believe strongly that we should need to sit down and fashion out the way that we want to live within ourselves. If the president does not feel that it's important, so many years ago people have been clamoring that we should have a conference at which you can sit down and iron out issues are confronting each state. When that is not done, we still have to come back to the basis of having this conference.
But we all will not sit down together. It will be our representatives who will sit down on our behalf.
I agree.
What about the House of the National Assembly?
Well, the National Assembly are representatives. But at the same time, the fear then was, they were thinking that probably the conference is going to take over the functions of some of their powers. But I won't think otherwise. And when they now realize that everybody is interested in having this conference, they pipe down and allow the conference to go on. But we have not seen, there were so many conferences in the past, it has not been implemented. Let us see the outcome of this conference, whether it will be implemented or not, before we can think of another thing.
That conference is, who knows, whether it happens or not, it will take maybe the first half of this year. But thereafter, you have other activities that are expected to happen.
I think the conference will show us the way we have to go after that. There's an election coming up next year.
Will it affect the elections this year?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. It won't. It won't. But quite a lot of people have been pointing holes in the conference now. I haven't submitted the report as at now. Professor Wagner has put hole into it. And the chairman of the conference has replied him. So the conference is not, the report has not been made public yet for people to analyze what we're looking at in the conference.